everyone solving systems of equations by graphing. Tell me what's different about these two equations in this system that hasn't happened in our last 2 days. What's going on in this system of equations that wasn't happening yesterday in the homework, the day before, or the front side of the notes? Ariel, what do you see?
The y isn't by itself.
The y isn't by itself. So when the y isn't by itself and we're going to solve it by graphing, we need to get y by itself first, okay? So in other words, we're going to first put them in slope-intercept form. Yeah, we need them in slope-intercept form so that we're going to be able to graph them. Okay, so let's start with our 7x plus 2y equals 8. And actually, just a few days ago, you had an assignment where you did some of this. You got that practice again because you actually learned this back in chapter 4, how to put these in slope-intercept form. So this is not a new skill for us. Okay, what would be our first move for this one? What would we do first? Stefan?
Subtract 7x from both sides.
Yeah, we're going to subtract 7x from both sides because what's the reason for subtracting 7x from both sides? What's our thought process?
Need to get y by itself.
We need to get the y's by themselves. Right now it's not just y, it's 2y, but let's just start with getting 2y by itself. So we're going to get 2y by itself, and we're going to have 8 take away 7x. Can those be put together?
No,
Why not?
they're not like terms.
They're not like terms. Some of us like to keep trying to put them together, but we really shouldn't be. So we can change this to add the opposite though, and I'm going to say we're going to do that. Okay. And now what do we have? Cameron?
You can switch the 7x and the 8x
Okay.
around.
Yeah, so we have those x's first, we can do that, because now that we've changed it to add the opposite, those two terms can trade places. And now it's starting to look more like the slope-intercept form because we have y's, followed by an equal sign, followed by an x, some x's, followed by a constant. Okay, what would be our next move then? Divide by 2. What would be divided by 2?
Everything.
Everything. Every piece gets divided by 2, even if it's going to look like it's going to be ugly in some cases. That doesn't matter. We're okay. So we have our y by itself over here. What is negative 7x divided by 2 going to become? How do you think we want to write that?
Fraction. As negative 7x over 2 as a fraction.
We're actually going to kind of pull, we're not going to leave it as it is. We're going to,
Negative 7.
well, we don't really want to change it to negative 3.5 because then we lose our rise over our run. And we've got a rise over a run here.
Negative 7 over 2x.
Yeah, let's have the x come out and be beside the fraction negative 7/2. That's how we would see it written. The x can be pulled out of that numerator. And then what's 8 divided by 2?
4.
4. Okay. Let's go ahead and finish this one up. Let's graph it. So what do we need to be able to graph it? We need m and b. What's our m?
Negative 7 over 2.
Negative 7/2. And remember, when we have a negative slope, that means you go in the negative direction how many times? Just once. You either use the negative for the rise, or you use the negative for the run. And then what's our starting point?
4.
4. Okay, go ahead and graph that one. Let's go ahead and get that one graphed, and then we'll move on to the other one. Okay, we're only going to be able to go in one direction for this one, aren't we?
So it can only fit 1 or 2 notes.
And we can only do 2 points, can't we?
Yeah.
We can only fit 2 points on our graph. So when we can only fit 2, we get by with that. And we'll try that again. Okay, there's our first line graph, right? Do you agree with mine?
Yes.
You like mine? Okay, do we like it? Had a negative slope, is this a good line? Okay, it's falling from left to right. Okay, let's go back now and let's take our other equation in our system, which is negative 2y, and work with it over here. This is not gonna take quite as much work, is it? What are we gonna do? Divide
Just
by,
have it in here too.
just divide it both sides by negative 2. Okay, so we're gonna have negative 2y, that's gonna get divided by negative 2, and the 6 that will be divided by negative 2.
Y equals
So what's our equation? Y equals
3.
negative 3. 6 divided by negative 2 is negative 3. Okay? What's the slope of that line?
0.
0. What's its starting point?
-3.
Negative 3. What kind of a line has a slope of 0?
Horizontal.
Can you shut up? Or Dakota? Let's go back to raising our hands, okay? What kind of a line has a 0 slope?
Horizontal.
Okay, I think that.
Horizontal.
Thank you. We should have a horizontal line. This should give us a horizontal line. So let's just go to the graph then and put our point at negative 3. And take our ruler and draw a line going horizontally through that point. Yes, Chair.
When we get like our coordinate, do we put it in the cleaned up version of it?
Do we put it what?
Alright, so like where the points connect is like 2, -3, do we put it in the cleaned up version? Or
Yeah,
do we
that's,
put it-
I'm moving on to that next tray. We're gonna not put it into the cleaned up version, because here's the deal. Okay, first of all, what do we think the solution is right now?
2 -3.
It's right here. It's 2, -3 is what we believe it is, right? That's our ordered pair solution, okay. When we check it today, you can very easily rename the equation wrong. You guys call it cleaning it up, but we're really not cleaning it up, we're renaming it. When we rename an equation, we can do that wrong. So if we check it in our renamed equation, we're gonna fool ourselves into thinking we have the right answer. So what we have to do is we have to go back to the original state the equations were in, 7x plus 2y equals 8, and negative 2y equals 6, and that's what we're going to check them out in, okay? So let's write those down as our, what we're going to put them in. So 7x, is it plus 2y, equals 8. And the other one is negative 2y equals 6. Okay, so again, you have to check them out in the equations as they started. So what are we putting in for x in our equation?
2.
2. What are we putting in for y?
-3.
-3. And working our way down. We're not solving right now. We've substituted in and now we're evaluating. So what is 7 times 2, class?
14.
14. What's 2 times -3?
-6.
-6. Bring down our equal sign, bring down our 8. Okay, this is what we do next. We don't do this. We don't say, oh, 8 equals 8. We say to ourselves, what is 14 plus -6?
8.
That does happen to be 8, yeah. So 8 comes down for this, bring our equal sign down again, bring our 8 down again and say, oh, 8 does equal 8. This one checks. But it can't just check in one of them, it has to check in
Well,
both of them, because it could be on one line but not on the other, right? It could not be the actual point of intersection. So -2, what are we going to put in for y?
-3.
-3. We don't have an x in this equation, so we don't have to check x out. We just check out what we have to put in. And again, we don't just know automatically, this is what I know a lot of you are doing. I already know, you're just going 6 equals 6, check. But instead, what is your brain supposed to do before you do that?
Make sure it does.
Oh. Let me tell me, with the hands, let me tell you how you actually do it. Trey, what do you do?
Check it with math.
Check it with math, okay, so what would that be? What is your brain saying right now?
Keep going, don't stop.
Yeah, so tell me what we're gonna do in this one.
We're going to multiply -2 times -3.
We're actually gonna multiply -2 times -3. And a negative times a negative is a positive, and 2 times 3 is 6. So we're gonna say, yes, we have 6 equals, 6 here, we bring our equal sign down, bring our other equal sign down, and now we say, is that true?
Yes.
Yes, it checks out. Okay, so we are gonna stick with our solution of 2, ordered pair 2, -3. Any questions?
No.